AI actually have time to go on the profile of the person, find interesting fact, and find relevancy in between both profiles. So you and I, right? We have something in common. If I have to do it myself, looking for what can match between our both profile, it may take me like 10, 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And then I need to write you a message and follow up with you and so on. While the AI is able to have access to both data set, understand what can match between both of our profile and actually find something relevant without even me thinking about it. So when we finally going to get in touch, because that's the point, right? Connecting human by technology, we will have something in common and we will already have something that we identify that can link us both.
Welcome, everybody, to the BSA webinar on rewriting the sales playbook. This is the, I'm not wrong, third webinar in our series of BSA webinars where we try to deep dive into specific topics that has to do about, well, how it is to run business in the 21st century, how to stay ahead of the trends, and how to, well, just get smarter on what modern days work look like. Today's speaker is someone I'm quite excited to hear what has to say about this topic about sales and AI. It's Julian, and Julian is quite an interesting character when it comes to being on the forefront of sales AI. Julian will share a bit more about his initial thinking and also a bit more about him. But as far as I understand on your profile, Julian, you come from sales, you come from working with what it means to convey value and convert people to customers. And this is obviously a pretty big part of running a business. With me on the call as well, I have Bharani. Bharani is our newest head of special events. She, in the future, will be running these webinars and help set them up, curating speakers. And so she will help me on the moderation. We also have on the co-moderation an AI agent that is listening in and will ask a few questions as we go along, but more on that later. I will be your moderator and host for today. My name is Alex. I am one of the members of the board at BSA. And my role is to curate these events and develop them in a way so they bring value to you, our audience. And we are very open for feedback. Anything you see or hear that might not resonate with what you believe in, please tell us. We want to understand how we can continually convey information to you that is valuable.
Thank you for this lovely introduction, Alex. Very happy to be on that webinar with you and Bharani tonight. So to give you a little bit of background of myself, so I've been in Asia for almost a decade now, and basically I was working on the project on sales and marketing and so on. And at some point, my co-founder and I identify a pain point in the sales software industry, where actually the AI could outcompete significantly the human work. So we will get into that, and then we started to try different things to free up human time at that moment, and then we saw a good traction on that. So we started to build a product that were making sense for sales team and for the people who were excited about the product we were doing at that time. Yeah.
Cool. And how's it going?
Pretty exciting. We're in a field where the industry is moving extremely fast, so that's a lot of challenge. But I believe that the only way how we grow ourselves and how we make the thing move forward in the right direction. So the industry we're in is one of the most exciting that I've been in. I mean, the AI itself, I would say, not being just a trend, but being able to actually provide value to almost 100% of the people on that planet. What I see is a big difference from the last trend we saw previously with the Web3, eventually, and the AI, which was very trendy at the time. Now, the big difference that I see is my grandmother is able to get the value out of ChatGPT, while Web3 was extremely hard for her. So we're really touching in an industry that will last forever and take more and more place in our lives every day. So very exciting to be at the forefront of that industry.
Okay. Well, I'm excited too. You know, I tried kind of a tasting of your product a few weeks ago, and you know, I was surprised to see a simple how simple sales AI assistants can work. We can dive into that case later, but I think before we jump into what AI can help with on sales, I just want your perspective on what sales is in the 21st century, right? What does it mean to sell as a founder? What is the art of selling without including AI to begin with? Could you share a bit about that from your perspective?
Yes. So you mean selling AI solution itself, right?
Well, yeah, but I would imagine that selling an AI solution means it's assisting on a current sales solution that is not AI empowered, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So where we see the biggest shift between yesterday's sales and today's sales, we see that automation were promising scale, but all we got at the end of the day was actually a lot of spam. Where actually the AI is able now to bring back humanity or more personal connection at a scale level. So where I see sales nowadays is being tremendously helped and assisted by the tool and the solution that the AI is able to provide nowadays. So what I see is having access to higher intelligence, being in a body of an intern, right? So ChatGPT considers as a very stupid intern that is really good at what you're asking when you ask the right thing. So very assisted, and I think most of the industry we still work in nowadays need to be augmented by that technology.
Okay. Yeah, because that's kind of one of my challenges with AI. I'm rarely serious about LinkedIn outreach anymore because it feels, you have the dashes in the messages. It sounds like it's royalty that's writing to you. It's almost too flawed. So I can see how it can scale my influence up, but how do you keep automation human? I mean, you're building an automation tool, so how do you ensure it kind of feels personal to the potential buyer?
That's a good question. Actually, we see more having a better success from AI messages because the AI actually have time to go on the profile of the person, find interesting fact, and find relevancy in between both profiles. So you and I, right, we have something in common. If I have to do it myself, looking for what can match between our both profile, it may take me like 10, 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And then I need to write you a message and follow up with you and so on. While the AI is able to have access to both data sets, understand what can match between both of our profile and actually find something relevant without even me thinking about it. So when we finally going to get in touch, because that's the point, right? Connecting human by technology, we will have something in common and we will already have something that we identify that can link us both.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go deeper into this because I also have outreach of people who know something about me. They've obviously run through my profile and they are bringing up a topic. Like there was one person who wrote me, "Oh, I saw your TEDx talk," and I did one TEDx talk in 2015, and I wrote him back, "Have you really seen it? Are you just kind of some automation process, right?" And he never answered me back, right? So I'm curious whether or not there is a difference between personalization and creepiness. Is there a line that you draw?
This is an interesting question, I would say, because in fact, it may find information that I will not have found by myself. But at the end of the day, if your talk was interesting and that's still one of my interests, this is still something that I need to go through, right? So I understand the fact that it may look a little bit creepy for people to just pull out information of nowhere, right? Even sometimes we see some conversation that happening where the data is really deep inside. But at the end of the day, what really matters is how we are going to connect further, right? The outreach messages on LinkedIn specifically is just the sparkle to start building a relation, I would say.
And
okay, so yeah, go ahead, Byron.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on like the deeper angle that Alex just asked. So, it's because there seems to be a blurred line between the human touch and automation, right? So, because your platform is all about automating outreach. So, in that sense, like when you're doing that, how do you keep it ethical? Like, what's your take on keeping it ethical? Like trying to avoid spammy or, manipulative tactics while you're trying to help these businesses scale, right?
Um, I'm not sure about that. The way how I see that is being able to move the people down in the funnel of conversion. At the end of the day, it's a matter of how you engage with people and who you engage with. And we do not, even though this is the right person, it may be the wrong time. So those humans really need to spend 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours speaking with someone who doesn't have the need now. I'm not entirely sure, right? So this is what the AI is able to do, and that's what we build the AI for, right? To connect with a large amount of people, because at the end of the day, that how you build a significant network and able to connect at scale with people without being and feeling spammy, right? What we saw, one of the biggest problem we saw with the automation without intelligence was people was actually very spammy. Like you get someone talk about the TED post for you, Alex. That was actually a great way to start the conversation rather than, hey, I'm Julian, I'm the CEO of that, I'm doing that, I'm doing that. Do you want to buy my product, right? It feels extremely impersonal. While if you start talking a little bit of chit chat and a little bit of highlighting what the other have done and done correctly, right? Because if you done some and if you share some achievement, I mean you're proud of it and you want to highlight those moments in your journey. So I just feel the AI is solving a problem where the automation that automation created by allowing people to become really spammy. We see that on email, we see that on WhatsApp, eventually on LinkedIn. Sorry, I don't want to see that anymore, right? I want someone that eventually saw what I'm doing and understand the fit that we can have together.
Right. I mean, that's just the reality of sales, right? Like you have to do an outreach, and it's at the end of the day, it is a numbers game, whether it's you're using AI or whether it's a real person behind the outreach. So yeah, I just wanted to see what your take was on that.
I think there is actually a two-way for salespeople. There is the inbound way and the outbound. What we choose with Salesman was to automate the outbound because we found that was the most effective method to go fast and scale fast as well. If you build an app that may cost, if you build an ad, sorry, that may cost a significant amount of money to get exposure, with the right person, you need to media buyers that knows where to buy, how to buy the space, and so on. While the outbound is extremely easier, we know how to identify the right person by having the right information, so job title, industry, location, skills, certification, and all those things that help us to better understand who you're targeting and why you're targeting them. So I think there is two ways, but both ways are a numbers game, yes.
Right.
Okay. I had a shout out to everybody listening, and if you have questions, please do post them in the chat, and we will make sure to go through them. There's space for Q&A later in this webinar. I wanna go into some practical kind of work use cases here, Julian, because I think it's easier for me to understand what kind of impact this is if you can give me an example. So can you share a real example of how a team have used AI, maybe your AI or another AI, where there's been a significant improvement of their sales process?
Definitely. So I think this is, I would like to talk about the companies that we started to work with a year ago, a few months after we started to release Salesman. So we started by having one person in the company, and that person was in charge of making the marketing email. And the result was a disaster, honestly. You get less than 1% open rate, and the click rate was not even able to calculate that. I think we just built a case study with them, Marcus event recently. And then after a month or two, we started to integrate the entire team that person was working in. And they saw a significant improve in the number of people they were able to connect with. And that had a significant impact for them. So they organize events, not like this one, but seminar and stuff like that. So people were dedicated to write message, which was not good, write email, which was not good and get no reply. So I believe that also impact in the morale of the team, right? If you do a job that have no impact on the company and do not move the needle, that must not feel super good. So eventually now we work with the entire group. So we are in more than 60 countries with them now. And I onboarded some of the team, and each location seems to have at least 2 or 3 locations seems to share one team of people that were dedicated to write the outreach. And then I had some team of 10, 15 people that I actually replaced the job entirely. Their job was to just write message on LinkedIn, and then we replaced them entirely. We replaced them at some point where they became validator instead of doers. So they were needed less people that move into higher position or higher responsibility in the organization.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So you're actually changing the structure of the sales team.
Correct.
Based on the augmentation of AI here.
Yes. So basically, one person was able to achieve the job of 5, 6, 7 people itself, because the AI was actually significantly impacted the workload of that person. Right? We were preparing everything for her, and that person just had to validate what the AI were giving at the end of the day.
Okay. So try and give me a sketch here. What do you think the ideal AI-augmented sales team look like in 2025?
I think I read something interesting about that is we won't have sales team the same way as we used to have, right? Now we see account executives that are at the forefront of the customer relation. And for different kind of sales process, what we saw was people have a GTM and a salesperson, a GTM engineer and a salesperson that were actually closing. So one GTM was generating the meeting and one salespeople was doing the meetings. And I think that's the best combination, right? We do not need people that are manually doing plenty of stuff, right? We just need automation that run most of the things that the team is relying on.
Okay. But that, in my ears, it brings a lot of questions as to how that team works, right? So is there, let's say I would advise one of my startups to look into AI sales engagement, right? And so what would need to be true about their team structure, their processes, the data, and in order for them to adopt it in a good way? Because I would, it sounds like I wouldn't tell them to hire a sales rep to work this out. I would ask them to look at the account management team, for example.
I think the process needs to be right. The data, and that's what we are currently building, the zero input, because we identify that the people do not understand their sales process themselves. They don't understand what is the right people to target, how to target them, what is the value proposition that really matter to those people, and so on. So the processes needs to be right. We take the meeting, how to handle the meeting, what we do after the meeting happen, and so on, much better than the data themselves. That is true because SalesMind, we are at the very top of the sales funnel. Now, I have some founders that actually build a startup for helping company managing their data, and that eventually because company have this problem of having data that is clean to later use. So I think if you want very good output from AI, the data is really important, unless you have a system that enable the data, the agent itself to build its own knowledge base and improve that auto-optimized over time. So it will clean the data by itself.
Right. And since we're on the topic of like data, I want to talk a little bit more about like the data quality and security concerns, right? So just like how there's a lot of people, I mean, a lot of founders going all in on AI, but there are also like a fair number of people still hesitating on AI. I still have a couple of friends who like aren't like, oh, we don't believe in it, but I'm just like, okay, you guys are gonna fall behind if you don't like keep up. But that's beside the point, right? I just want to talk about like the security concerns. So before like teams invest in tools like Sales AI, Sales Mind, what do you think needs to be true on the back end to get the real value?
I think you need to have a clear understanding of how the team will handle and go with the AI, right? There is no way we see a sales team or even anyone in this world, or most of them, right, without a computer today, right?
Right.
I think it's going to be exactly the same with AI. In 3 years, max, none of the jobs that we all have here, I believe. Obviously, we're not talking about the miners in a coal factory and stuff like that. But having the people learn how to leverage technology. Today, if you have a sales that do not know how to use a CRM, you fall behind, right? And that's exactly what's going to happen with AI. And however, the speed of adoption is much, much, much faster than the CRM and the computer itself.
Right. So it's like less about replacing the reps and more about like, you know, freeing up the work for them so that there's like more, the productivity rate goes up.
Don't get me wrong. I think it replaced some job, but it had the same impact where the horses has been replaced by the cars, right? Mm-hmm. People that were driving the car horses, they just had new job and new responsibilities driving cars much faster, much more reliable, and much more comfortable, right? So different skills that people will have to evolve with to learn. But eventually we still replacing some of the positions that were not the most exciting anyway.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there still needs to be like a driver in the seat to like drive this, right? Like, and honestly, like I feel like, yeah, AI is a great tool, but it's only as good as the prompts that you feed them.
And that's one of the things that we thought about, right? Building your own car is not easy. So even though you're able to build one, you still go to the shop and buy one, because at the end of the day, what you need is not spending 5 years building a car. You need something that works now. And if you do not know how the motor and the engine works, you find someone who knows that and build that for you. Exactly. So I think we are at that stage, and for the metaphor of the driver, I think we are still a few years without. But I was in San Francisco a few months ago, and I saw those cars was driving without driver.
Yeah, no, it's true. And now they're unfortunately also burning in the streets of LA. There's something I don't understand here, and please help me, because you know I do know how to run a CRM system and so forth, and I know every founder needs to sell here, but it sounds like you're also telling me I need to have kind of a mental model shift about this, right? So in order for me to incorporate successfully a number of sales tools that are AI empowered into a startup, I need to think differently about how sales work. So how should I change? I can see how my sales process should change, but how should my mental model change?
I think you're pretty open. So yourself, I don't have the answer for that, but I think people need to embrace more widely the tools that they have access to. Right? Barani's friends are afraid of AI, as you mentioned, and they're seems like even against, right? It just takes too much effort to fight against that. So we just the mindset that I believe people need to adapt is letting the AI, even though now it is barely production ready, I would say the mindset that we need to have is test and learn those new technology, right? You cannot never try and be against it. If you try multiple one and it failed consistently for your business, either you're doing the thing wrong, either you're really against it and you don't want to change your mind. But I don't see how any businesses can survive in the next decade without having AI at multiple layers in their operation.
Okay. So try and give me a case here. What is if you look at a business and you think, wow, that business is perfect to have an AI sales tool implemented. What are the conditions of this company? Like, how do I even start to assess whether I have companies that would be susceptible to use AI?
This is a question a little bit behind my expertise. In that case, we're only in the lead generation. We only automate the lead generation at our stage, right? Also, we are the sales funnels primarily. Now, how do I assess a business and the problem of the pain point of our users, right? If they spend multiple hours per day or per week having the same workflow, more or less doing the same and repeating the same kind of operation, this is exactly where AI needs to jump in.
I mean, I have a few companies that are doing that, so it's a good kind of curve to address. I want to take a few questions for the audience. Also, Brian, if you have any, you can jump in. Again, please post your questions in the chat, but I think this one is quite related to this. So Matt Chavant asks, is the future of outreach not outreach, meaning stop asking for something and offer only?
That is a question that we're working on currently. And I don't think outreach will be the best way to get in touch with people in the next 5 years, right? Rather, having personalized or just dumb outreach messages will not make a huge difference. The entire sales funnels need to be personalized, right? So it's not just the message, but it is what you see after, right? What is the value proposition that is offered to you? What we are seeing is to get people attention is much harder. It gets much harder, right? The span of attention is getting lower and lower. So the outreach will just be the very first sparkle of the relation. But what we see is really having an entire funnel that is personalized. And what we're working on is having adaptive microsite that is really sharing what matters to you and what you need to see within 30 seconds. Because when you spend 40 seconds on a website that have 86 pages, it just doesn't make sense for you to go through all the services they have, trying to understand with their own word what they're doing, why it matters for you, how they can help you, right? So the outreach will be one of the components to get you in the funnel, like the other one, but the funnel entirely have to be reworked.
That's actually something I like, because then I don't have to look for the value. Basically, you shorten the aspect of what's truly valuable to me, and if it's not valuable to me, stop spamming me, right? So I want to take Billy's question. Can you walk us through a specific case study of SalesMind.ai, including messages sent, total numbers, conversion rates, like I guess the ROI of using your technology in this regard?
So one of the case studies that we worked in was Marcus Evan. Another one was one that we just did with marketing, B2B lead generation agency. So our sweet spot so far. So same, they have basically 6 VA, and it was very intensive for the founders to train the VA to do the appointment setting properly, understand how the mechanism is working doing the outreach nowadays, because that really require a new kind of expertise. Before you can spray and pray, it doesn't work anymore. So what we see is each LinkedIn profile that we're having can connect with up to 800 people per month. The average number we are seeing are between 30 to 50% of acceptance rate. So in terms of number, let's say we connect you with 400 people per LinkedIn profile. We have teams that have more than 50 LinkedIn profiles that run for their company. So you can scale that up significantly and easily. So 400 people we connect you with. The number of messages depend on the sequence that people are building, but what we recommend is 4 to 6 touch points for each of the people. So among 2, 3, 4 weeks, they will consistently get follow-up. And what we see is more or less the same, right? 30 to 50% of reply rate. in the good case, I think I think the last time we checked was 37-38% of reply rate average for the half a quarter million that we generated conversation with people. And then what's really important, because that was the metric automation actually gives you, but what the AI bring is one step further, the interest rate. And that's what is really matter, how many people are interested at the end of the day for your outreach. And what we see is 20-30% of those people that just show interest about the product and are ready to move down further in the funnel of conversion. So it depends how much your average ticket size, deal size is. But basically what we see for SalesMind is one LinkedIn account is roughly able to generate 1 to 2 clients per month.
Yeah, it's interesting. As I think, as I mentioned earlier, I used your SalesMind AI for outreach, and I had an enormous amount of interest. Actually, like people would write me back. I used a human message. I didn't want anything perfect, but I got a lot more engagement and a little few conversions as well. So I think there is an art in kind of balancing both. With that in mind, I just wanted to shoot a question from our co-moderator. So for the audience here, I have a transcript fed into a GPT that's been prompted to be critical towards AI sales. So it's good that we have an AI ally on our team. And one of the questions it's asked is there a sales use case where AI should not be used, even if it could?
Yes. In our case, what we're seeing is there is some industries that are not connected online. Right, they barely have a website, and we're seeing that in Southeast Asia primarily. We are seeing some users they don't have a website and no LinkedIn, they never run any email campaign. So those are really traditional players, and I believe those are the ones who are still fighting against the computer eventually. But they're invisible now, and we cannot really help them because if themselves are not there online and the AI only act online, right? Elon Musk haven't released yet his robot that can shake hand physically. Maybe that's going to be a different topic at that moment. But yeah, all the industries that are really not tech savvy, this is kind of a waste of time. And we tried and we failed. And this is just a user that now we're happy to redirect into more traditional method because the AI is not able to shake hand.
Okay, so if you're not online, it's a little difficult to use an online sales tool, I guess. That's a strong point.
Yes.
So like a fish out of water, right? Barani, any more questions or from the audience? Are there more questions? You're also free to ask them. We have the last 20 minutes here open for the floor. We have more questions to dive into, but if there is any burning questions or advice that you'd like Julian to help assess, please shoot your question in the chat or raise your hand.
Yeah, I think Matt had a very great question. Basically, is the automation more a person issue rather than a technology issue? I would say yes. Honestly, automation was working, I would say even great for people, for some of the people, right? You still, when you know how to identify precisely the right prospect, when you know what is the value proposition they're looking at, what is the pain point they're having, and what is the right moment to get in touch, yes, definitely, right? You can outcompete the human. But 80% of the people that were doing automation were doing it wrong. So it is a person problem, but how can you educate 80% of the market? I mean, all the automation tools were trying to educate, don't do a message that you speak about yourself or being too salesy or stuff like that, right? It just not easy for people to understand, get the skill that it requires to actually get good at what you're doing and stuff. So basically, I would say, yes, it's a problem of person, and that's what the AI is helping, right? Helping people to get better with less effort.
Nice. We have two questions coming, one from Olivier and one from Michael. Olivier asks, how do you differentiate your product versus competitors?
Sure. So the way how we differentiate ourselves, we are in a very competitive landscape, right? That the truth. Now, the automation where the version 1, I like to call it, and the AI automation, bringing a little bit more intelligence, is the second version. Now, how SalesMind differentiates itself is we do not have any competitor, or at least I haven't found any so far, for the lead generation agency and the marketing agencies themselves. The end businesses, they have their own tool. They have the AI-Augmented solution that they have access to, but it's pricey, right? And if I take the case of 11x, for example, which is one of the biggest competitors we may have, it's around $30,000 per month, $30,000 per month. An agency cannot sell that itself to other people, right? So I see Lagros Machine does the same. I think there is a misconception here. The Lagros Machine is great automation tool. If you know who to target, what to target that from, and at the right moment, you can get results with Lagros Machine. Don't get me wrong. Now, Lagros Machine will not help you to identify the opportunity, will not give you insight about the people. Why do you need to get in touch with them? Are they the right profile? Do they have the right characteristic on their profile? And just make them move by themselves in the funnel. So Lagros Machine will not just reply for you, while SalesMind can do that. So the way how we differentiate ourselves is offering the middleman a solution that they can sell and scale without requiring the help of 10 VA, for example. Because Lagros Machine, you will need VAs that go after, build the list, build the automation, set up the system, and just reply to people. Because at the end of the day, the money is in the inbox. If you do not reply to people, they will just never pay, or never move, or never get a meeting with you. So that's how we differentiate ourselves. So from the first automation is we have a more end-to-end approach, and for the AI automation that in the landscape we're focusing on a segment that do not have access to that kind of technology yet.
Strong. We have a few questions here, both Michael and Guillaume, on the aspects of, I think there's a bit more on human values, which I like. Michael is asking, I have a deep interest in the humanization of AI. What steps are you taking to reach the highest level of humanization?
Very good question. I'm very excited to share, especially with Michael. We know each other for a while now, that we have released the tone of voice. So now what we do is we take all the messages that you wrote. We understand what are the pattern, what are the right tone of voice, the way how you describe your service and so on. And we just replicate that. So it brings the same way how you will talk yourself to actually talk for your prospect. So this is still not released entirely, but this is something that will be released really soon. We have finished the work. Now we're still on the test phase, but that's how we are bringing back humanization into the sales process with SalesMind itself.
Another question is there a difference of approach between product selling with AI and person-to-person services selling? For example, personal branding with AI.
Product selling with AI in a person's. Yeah, I think where we see a great success is having an approach where the AI actually can close itself. There is very few industry where that can work, but at the SaaS industry, for example, and that's how we started SalesMind and acquired over 3,500 users in the last year and a half so far, is by having a lower and low engagement offer. So if you have a SaaS that do not require anyone to get in touch with, like for example, Notion could be a great example, we send people directly to the sign-up page and people can convert by themselves. While if you're a consultant, for example, or you sell services, design services, no one will put their credit card, pay $300,000 or $3,000 and just wait for you to deliver. So this is the two different kind of approach we are seeing, but both of them can leverage AI, right? In the first one for the SaaS, we are able to actually drive traffic into your sign-up page and get people sign up for your service or your product. While the other one, we will help you at the very top of the funnel finding the people, generating the business opportunity, getting you in touch with that people, and providing you the insight to actually understand better and provide offers that actually make more sense to that people.
Okay. So it comes back to your product as well, right? So how flexible is your product to receive different kinds of signups, and how well have you designed your funnel? I'm thinking about my own brand and how I do outreach right now. Barani, do you have any comments to the process so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's like your platform's adapting to what's going on in terms of like automating the process and just making sales teams like lives easier. So I think that's just my comment. I don't have much to add to it, but I think it's just helping a lot of the sales team like increase their productivity.
Yeah.
Yes.
One thing that I've been thinking about is also how expensive is your product. Before doing so, I'll give Michael. Michael, welcome to the stage. Please have your question.
Thank you very much. Hello, Julian. Happy days for you. Nice to meet you, Alex and Barani, and everybody else. Yeah, really great to be here and listen to this call, because I think this is the new way of selling. It's not transactional anymore, and that's something that we really need to emphasize, I think, even if it's online, which is most things, of course. But yeah, thank you for sharing. The humanization part I really look forward to, because I've been using SalesMind for, almost a year soon. And really, I did the humanization on a more sort of manual level by doing the prompting in the background and everything. And I really look forward to see that coming into fruition, because what I discovered in terms of the outreach is that many times, basically, if you call it no outreach is the best outreach. So basically, by having relevant conversations, by engaging, almost like, hey, I'm looking for someone to have a good discussion with, that is giving me the best results. So thank you for that.
And I think what you mentioned is extremely true, right? The outreach is what I believe the easiest way to get engagement with people, but LinkedIn helps you to build a very comprehensive funnel, right? So what we aim is also people visiting your profile. And that's why we call it your new landing page, right? Because it's very personal. People see your picture, people see the content that you're creating, people see who you engage with, how you describe yourself, and basically all the things that you want people to see, they can consume it by themselves on your profile without being sold anything. And they consume that by themselves because you had a conversation with them. They try to understand why Michael wants to have a conversation with Alex, and Alex trying to understand by himself. And that's how we create those opportunities as well.
I mean, we are all different people, but in my opinion, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist sometimes when it comes to text. That's when I see those dashes and I want them short, and I do it all that in prompting style and everything. So yeah, that, it really takes a lot to actually humanize an AI, but I believe it's absolutely possible. I mean, I started giving AI personality by using Myers-Briggs. I met Julian and I discovered, he's using Myers-Briggs to actually turn that around and give the right outreach. So yeah, really great.
I think on that note as well, since we're also getting closer to the end of this webinar, in preparing for this webinar, Julian, I did something absolutely crazy, right? I was preparing for a webinar on AI and sales. So this morning I sat down with a pen and paper and no AI, and I did some good old thinking, right? And I think I've been so quick these days. I'm extremely productive, but I'm also getting lazy. Right. Every time I get a deal, due diligence, right? I have a prompt set up to look at my deals. Give me the value up front. So I did some good old human thinking, and I realized there are a few things that I've completely been neglecting over the last few months that's actually quite important for me. So these things being, for example, giving feedback, receiving feedback, right? In face-to-face form, not through a chat, right? Negotiation face-to-face. So I'm just curious from your perspective, since you're so deep down into it, what skills, honestly, what skills for founder, for sales team, but what skills are valuable in an AI sales-driven world? Human skills.
The relation that we are able to build by providing value to each other, right? I had a conversation for 10 hours with someone last week. That's something the AI could not do, right? Because it's also about challenging each other, making each other having exchanging of thoughts, right? If you talk 10 hours with the AI today, it will go in your direction, and it will say, "Oh yes, Alex, you're the best." And 10 hours later, it will still be the same, right? "Oh, what do you think about it?" "Oh yeah, I think it's amazing, Alex." While the other person can, "Oh no, Alex, this is actually crap," and then it make you thinking. So, trying to build relation is one of the most important skills that I believe will be important in the future, as well as motivating people, bringing inspiration. Right, the AI will not be inspirational. While when someone gives a speech, good inspiration, gives great insight, and motivate people, being energetic, having the right tone of voice, having the right energy in the way how we're talking, or the right language, not only the word, but how the body is expressing itself as well. That is something that's going to be very important for me, because at the end, the AI can connect us. If you fucked up because you don't connect right, the AI cannot help you, right?
Yeah. And I think that's so beautifully imperfect, right? I mean, most of the deals that I do, they're never perfect, right? They never come out as a perfect scripture sales email. It's usually quite messy. There usually is almost a drop-off point. There's, a renegotiation. So as I see this, right, as I receive a lot of inbound and people are writing these beautiful messages that I will never read because it's too perfect. Like, I know it's not your own thoughts, right? So I'm just curious here in the last minutes, give me something that you have as an unpopular opinion about AI in sales, because I want you to be the devil's advocate about your own product. So let me hear what you have as an unpopular opinion about AI in sales.
Let me have a thought. Unpopular option in sales. I would say not being able, or being afraid of what the AI is capable of.
Being afraid of what the AI is capable of.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. I think we have a last question, or was that another question? I saw a hand being put up. No. We can take another 1 or 2 questions if you make them short. If not, we have one more that I wanted you to ask about, because we have founders, we have investors, we have sales rep in the call here. If you could give an hour, like let's say I'm willing to dedicate an hour a week to research or learn about something that will help me deepen my understanding for AI in sales in my business or in my partner businesses, what would you tell me to dedicate that hour to?
I think I will suggest you to know how to learn how to write better prompts. Because I observe that if you know how to ask AI the right thing, it gives you access to the best practices of any single industry, right? So you're completely dumb in mathematics or chemical. You want to understand something. If you ask correctly, the AI can explain that to you until you understand. And it's exactly the same for any single industry that people are working in. You can have access to the brighter mind and the best practices for any single industry, and then apply it on your own way later and reuse it whenever you need. So I would strongly suggest like how to learn the system prompt, the user prompt, how to differentiate the models that we can use. Some of them are great for researching, some of them are great for reasoning, some of them are great for writing. So learn how to leverage all of them and efficiently. That will be my main take, right?
So the learning must go on. It reminds me of that great quote that in pursuit of wisdom, we should not strive for better answers, but better questions, right? And I think that's really also my book about this. I don't mind being a little stupid about how this world is developing, as long as I can keep learning. Friends, audience, any last questions? If not, I'm gonna have Julian wrap this up. I've really enjoyed speaking to you, Julian, but I want to honor our time together. Feel free to ask or raise your hand if there's anything. If not, Julian, any parting thoughts as we bring this webinar to an end?
Yes, and I think that exactly what you just talked about, the journey we need to keep learning. What I strongly believe is we learn from people as well. So if you connect with people that are good or expert in their domain, that obviously take knowledge. And I strongly believe that everyone has something to teach you, right? Not everything is useful, but just sort it out. So I think that is exactly why we build and part of BSA as well, because I believe in connecting people can bring a lot of value. So feel free to join us next Tuesday for the Disruptor event and connect with hundreds of people that will be able to uplift you and the ecosystem in Thailand.
We are very happy for your time, ladies and gentlemen. As Julian said, one of the key competitive skills in our world of AI is that we should not forget the social engagement we have between each other. So thank you very much for your time, Kokumaka. And I hope to see you on Tuesday. If not, on one of our other events, please join our LinkedIn or our Line group. I'll be posting the links here. And again, thank you for your time, everybody. Have a great week ahead.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.